Hi there, and welcome to this short video on what is services action. The goal of this video is to provide a common definition for service here at CISB. This information will likely be key to you in your role as a services action teacher supervisor. Although students are responsible for designing and creating their own projects, part of your job is ensuring that those projects meet the services action criteria. In this video, we'll define services action, look at some examples, and identify the teacher supervisor role in the process. Unless this is your first year at CISB, you've probably seen services action before. If this is your first year, stay tuned. What do you already know about service? Try to think of examples of service that you've experienced or heard about or seen before. What did you come up with? Maybe you thought of student fundraisers raising money for children's hospital bills. Maybe you thought of founding of a new school club. Maybe you thought of a class project designed to combat bullying. All of these are potential candidates for good service. Our definition of service is as follows: classroom learning applied through action that addresses an authentic community-defined need. Students complete these actions by following the service learning model of the design cycle. Students start with an issue in mind, how they want to serve. They then start to research and investigate the issue and start planning how they want to address the issue in their defined community. They organize their time and their schedules, their group roles and responsibilities. Then they carry out the action. Once they've finished what they've set out to do, they elicit feedback from the community that they served so that they can reflect on their learning and the effectiveness of their service. Finally, they create a demonstration of their learning for a larger audience. We will go into more detail about these stages in later instructional materials. For now, let's take a look at an example. Mrs. Krabappel's grade 6 Individuals and Societies class is studying multiculturalism and subsequently prejudice. As a class, they decide that prejudice is something that they can affect in their own communities. They begin a service project entitled, "How Can You Make a Difference About Prejudice?" Mrs. Krabappel's students, Emmett, Martin, and Calvin, in talking to their friends, realize there is a bullying problem in the school directly related to prejudice. They begin to investigate, to plan, to organize an anti-bullying campaign for the school. They make posters to hang around the walls. They make videos to go on the morning announcements, all relating to what they've learned in Mrs. Krabappel's INS 6 class about the dangers of prejudice and its manifestation in bullying. Following their campaign, they elicit feedback from their community in the form of student interviews, which they use to reflect on their impact on the issue at their school, and then present their learning to the class in a short presentation. And they're done. In this example, the student project has met the criteria of services action. They've taken their classroom learning about culture and conflict and applied it to an action that they have planned and organized for the broader extracurricular school community. Their need, the bullying issue, was a pre-existing issue that was defined by their friends, members of the relevant community. This is a good example of services action. To contrast, let's take a look at another example. Mr. Stein's English class is conducting a services action project around the issue of quality education. His students, Lucy, Maud, and Monty, all volunteer at the local migrant children's school on the weekend. They want to help the school by raising money for new resources. The students make the decision to buy tablets for the migrant school so that they can access the wealth of educational materials online. Through a series of fundraisers, they raise enough money to buy 5 tablets for each of the migrant school classrooms. They reflect on the learning in the process and make a video to share on YouTube with other schools in the city about their project. And they're done. In this example, the student project has not met the conditions for services action. Their project was to apply their learning from Mr. Stein's English class. However, it doesn't look as though their fundraising action has been explicitly tied to any learning. Furthermore, in defining the need themselves, the tablets, rather than asking the migrant school, they have not met an authentic need. The migrant school might not have the bandwidth to support tablets. The migrant school might have a more pressing need, such as flushing toilets or infrastructure repairs. Yet, without asking the school about this, or eliciting any feedback from the school, Lucy, Maud, and Monty have not completed an authentic services action project. These issues may have arisen out of the students or Mr. Stein's misunderstanding of what services action is, or equating service learning to other forms of aid. This is why it's so essential that the teacher supervisors have a clear understanding of what services action is. Services action is not charity. In broad strokes, the goal of most charities is to provide aid, usually monetary or material, to those in need. This is a noble intent, but raising money does not necessarily connect to students' curricular learning to an extracurricular context. Nor can we be certain that the charity needs are defined by the relevant communities. Services action is not just volunteering. True, many projects may involve volunteering time for a larger cause or organization, but it can't end there. Does this volunteer work engage the student's curricular learning? Has the student shown their ability to plan and organize their action? These factors need to be addressed when considering the criteria. Services action is a student-planned action. Services action applies curricular learning to an extracurricular context. Services action identifies a community-defined authentic need. You may wish for further examples to reinforce your understanding of service. For this reason, a number of practice examples are available on the Moodle site. Under the Services Action Moodle page, go to Services Action 1718, then Services Action Teacher Supervisor Practice Examples. So to recap, Services Action is classroom learning applied through action to meet an authentic community-defined need. We conduct service projects through the service model of the design cycle. If you've conducted essay projects before, take a moment now to think back on your students' previous projects. Did those previous projects meet the criteria we've discussed today? As a teacher supervisor, your role will be to make sure that the student projects do meet these criteria. You will have many opportunities to apply this in your class over the year, and remember, the Services Action Coordinator is there to help you when you need. Services action is a great way to scaffold student autonomy, to promote collaborative inquiry, and to motivate students by connecting their learning to applicable experiences. As a teacher supervisor, you guide and assist. In many ways, your job is to watch your class learning together through frustration and fun. So have fun.